The following takes place between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m.
News Radio 840 WHAS. Tony Finetti and Dwight Whitten. We are brought to you by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety.
We have Tony Batten, Arthur Stuckey. We have Jennifer in here with the Prodigal Ministries, and you guys are both former residents or inmates. What's the politically correct way to say it?
Cons.
You guys
You're
are
former cons.
You're two former convicts from the Kentucky Penitentiary's prison system, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And Jennifer works for Prodigal Ministries, and that's Right House.
Macaulay House for Women.
Macaulay House for Women.
And two houses downtown, Prodigal East and Prodigal West on Oak Street.
And then also the Bridge program is ran out of that as well.
Well, actually, the Bridge is an in-prison ministry. Then we partner with them. We house a lot of the guys who have completed their program, like these two characters over here.
Well, let me tell you, people say lock them up, throw away the key, and be done with them. And I was one of those guys, and then somehow I wound up in prison ministry.
Unbelievable.
I know I was. I was one of these guys. Then
my God.
Somehow I wound up in prison ministry, and then I start meeting these guys, and I got to tell you,
just like anything else in life, you know more about them, and you go, "Oh well, what's wrong about that?"
It very well could have been me.
Yeah.
And Tony Batten is one of the guys that I met in prison. Tony, you get out of prison. First of all, you're in and out of prison your entire life.
That was my third go-around.
Yeah.
Since 18.
And what was your sentence on your last charge?
10 years.
10 years. So you finally get out of prison. You got no place to go, no place of your own. You have extremely damaged hip.
Correct.
You can barely walk.
Correct.
And I met you about 3 years left on your sentence. And you get out. And you go to the Right House that's ran by the Prodigal Ministries, okay?
Right.
And you start riding a bicycle around in the cold, in the rain, in the sun, whatever you can, looking for a job.
Had to have a job.
You had to have a job, but you didn't sit on your tail. You got on a bicycle and you rode around. You finally get a job as a cook. And I won't go through all your jobs, but fast forward, you wind up being the executive chef at a really nice country club here in Louisville.
Correct.
Then you leave there, and you now work for one of the finest fish and meat providers, in my opinion, in the state, in the nation.
Growing every day.
Okay.
Well, real quick, the conversations of finding the job ended when you said you were an ex-con most of the time when you put applications in, or not?
Not for me, because in kitchens and in the restaurant business, ex-cons are who they hire.
Right.
I hired them. They hired me.
They're like, look, he can cook a great steak or quiche.
I could cook a ramen noodle.
That's right.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
So Tony, you put in the work, and you did all this, and you climbed up, and you stayed focused. But Prodigal was there right by your side.
Right, the whole time.
What would you envision your life now had it not been for Prodigal Ministries and the Bridge program?
You know, I've thought about that many times over the years, and I don't know if I would have went back to prison, but my life definitely wouldn't be what it is today. And just for the simple fact of relationships. Relationships are everything to me today. Our relationship, Jennifer and I's relationship, Stuckey and I's relationship, and there's many others that I can't name. It's just too many. The community has embellished me with blessings.
Well, let me tell you, Tony Vanetti, it's easy to say, and you don't say this, but I did at one point in my life, lock them up, throw away the key. But then, right now, these two guys right here across from us.
I never said that.
I used to.
I feel for people.
Right. I didn't. But let me tell you, these are two of my closest friends. And Arthur Stuckey, let's talk about you for a second. Now, Stuckey, I met you in the penitentiary, the prison as well. And you're in there, I think you had your last charge was a 20-year sentence. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so you finally make it up to the parole board. And everyone in the program just knew if anybody's going to make parole, it's going to be Stuckey. Okay?
Correct.
You didn't get parole, you got flopped. You had, was it a 2-year flop you had? 4, was it 4?
4.
4. You had to wait 4 years before you saw the board again. How important was your support group through Bridge to keep your attitude up? Because if you finally make it to the parole board and you thought you were going out. I thought you were getting out. Everyone that knew you thought that you were getting out, and it didn't happen. It's not even me, but I was crushed, and everyone that surrounded you in there was crushed. First of all, what was that like when you got a 4-year flop? You can't see the board for four more years. And then how did this program and other programs help you out through that?
Well, it was out of a very supportive group, but I was sick to my stomach, but I really realized that the 48-month deferment was truly a blessing.
Why is that?
Because I wasn't spiritually fit to be released yet.
Jennifer, how long?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Why do you say that?
Because I still had some growth to do some growing up to do.
And a relationship with God?
With God, some maturity. So
what did God spoke to you?
Yes.
What did he say? Did he say to you, what did you realize? 1
Thessalonians 5:11 states that encourage one another and build each other up just as you also are doing. And I needed that from my support group, and I wasn't there yet mentally.
And let me go and listen to Stuckey talking in his positive attitude right now. But let me tell you one thing. I was with Stuckey on a Tuesday night. You and I were talking about you wanted to get some friends involved in an AA group out of the prison, and you put the task on me to go and find some people to help out with this task. I get home, and I think you were close to getting out, but then you had a stroke, and you wound up in the hospital. And you were in bad shape, but your attitude now is just great. I mean, I wish I had your attitude.
Let's dive into we're hearing these programs. Dwight is throwing these programs out here. I have no idea what you're talking about. Who do you work for, and how do you get funding, and what happens? What's the process of getting out to the prison and talking to these guys?
We are a transitional program, residential transitional for men and women who have been released from prison. And the process, like Stuckey, when he went up for parole the first time, he had applied for our program and to come to our house, and he had been accepted. So we were all devastated at his 4-year deferment. But anyhow, They make application, and they are interviewed, and based on wanting who we are, and if it's a good fit, then they're welcome to come to our program as long as probation and parole allows it. We get funding because we are a Christian ministry, we get funding through grants, donors, and we have a couple of fundraisers during the year, and this is a great opportunity for end-of-year giving.
Tony, do you get back to the prison at all? Can you even do that? Are you allowed to go and talk to the guys that were in the same position as you were?
Sure, Tony. I've been back, I would say 6 to 8, maybe 10 times over the last 6 years, and it keeps me grounded. It's not what I see, it's not what I hear, it's the smell. Will always take you back. It's an institutional smell.
And I know exactly what you're talking about just from being in there and visiting you guys every week. And I got to tell you, it's indescribable smell, almost like a...
When there were times that you were in prison and you're in your cell, were there times that you were just going to accept and you were asking the question, is this going to be my view? Is this going to be what I'm supposed to do in life? Or were you always, I'm getting out of here and I'm going to change?
I knew I was going to change from the first part of this sentence. I was done. I haven't drank in over 10 years.
Congratulations.
That was my issue, was drinking. I was done. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I was going to figure out a way. Mm-hmm. Through AA, through spiritual growth, through a lot of things, through friends, I've been able to accomplish that. But at 42 years old, with nobody and nothing, nobody knew where I was at. I had no family. I didn't know what my future held. I didn't know if I was going to work in McDonald's and flip burgers for the rest of my life and live in a one-room boarding house. And that was a very real possibility for me, Tony.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to ask you the big question we talked about earlier, which was Thanksgiving is Thursday. We got the holidays follow up. What's it like to be in prison and incarcerated and know that you have to. Everyone you know is having the holiday. So we'll ask you that question when we get back. I want to remind you about Bargain Supply, East Jefferson Street, folks. These guys the scratch and dent is their bread butter. If you have a scratch on the side of your refrigerator, you can save hundreds of dollars. On the side of your dryer, you can save hundreds of dollars. It's on East Jefferson Street. It's almost an entire city block of appliances and tools. I talk about the 4 ladies that work at the front desk. If you go there more than twice, they're going to know your name and they're going to say hi to you every single time when you come in the door. A lot of contractors go in there to buy tools and supplies because they have the best prices, frankly. So Bargain Supply, every day is Black November. So go in there. It's not just Black Friday. Every single day they have the same prices as they would on that day. So go on by and see Bargain Supply, East Jefferson Street. Back after this, Tony and Dwight on News Radio 840 WHAS.
Tony and Dwight on News Radio 840 WHAS.